This program was funded by Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport, Toyota, AT&T of Kentucky, SOUTHBANK Partners, the CLABES family, SKYWARD.
If you are a music lover, particularly a love of music performed live on stage by your favorite artists, well then, this is your holy grail. The Backstage Pass. If you love live concerts, rock, country, whatever, this little tag can get you exclusive access to the artists and the parties and all the sometimes very wild fun that goes on behind the scenes at these performances. Then, if you don't lose your Backstage Pass amidst all that fun, well then you might even have a valuable collector's item on your hands in the future, like these early 80s Grateful Dead passes. As you might imagine, the relative value of these things means a lot of ne'er-do-wells have made it their business to counterfeit these passes. And that is why, due largely to the early brilliance of this man, Dave Otto, the Backstage Pass industry was born at a Boston concert at Cincinnati's old Riverfront Coliseum in 1974. And that is also largely why the business he owns today, Otto Printing in Bellevue, is now synonymous with forgery-proof passes to the hottest shows in town. And it all started when a much younger Dave Otto, working part-time at Riverfront and the rest of the time at his dad's Northern Kentucky printing business, went out on a limb and created a prototype Backstage Pass system for that extremely popular 70s rock group that would ensure counterfeiting was kept to a minimum.
I worked at Riverfront Coliseum as a stagehand in my early years. When I got to Riverfront Coliseum, they were using badges that said, "Hello, my name is." And Boston at the time, they had an album that was an upside down guitar that looked like a spaceship. Great graphics, just beautiful graphics. So unknown to them, we took that album cover and devised a Backstage Pass system, that they could use on their world tour. Well, we met with them, and they loved the product, loved what we did for them, and we convinced them that we would charge them for a 2-color design versus a 4-color design if they allowed us to put our name and address and phone number on the back of every pass. So as they went from city to city to country, the Backstage Pass was born.
Today, the Bellevue business handles entire ticket and program systems for literally thousands of superstar artists, bands and renowned venues worldwide, as well as events like the Kentucky Derby and political conventions. And today, the passes are much more sophisticated, with holographic features and specially printed security bubbles to prevent fakes from passing through the system. But as Dave Otto explains, today's artists are as concerned about letting the wrong element get too close as they are about preventing counterfeiting.
I remember I had breakfast with Paul McCartney in New York one time, and this is right after John Lennon had passed away. And Paul, I remember his comment saying, "Well, I don't want the same thing to happen to John Lennon happen to me." He was looking at a Backstage Pass printer here in the States, being us, and then he was looking at a company in England to do the passes, but they chose us.
So he's met and mingled with some of the hottest stars in music, which is kind of funny when you hear the following story and also take into account that when it took place, the Honorable Mr. Otto was a Campbell County Commissioner.
I guess the most memorable day that I had was I took care of Axl Rose with Guns N' Roses. And when I mean took care of, the tour manager at the time asked me if I'd go out with him and make sure that he didn't drink, make sure he didn't get into any trouble. So we did that all day. I took him to an athletic club that he got a massage, and it was all good stuff.
Indeed, it's a pretty heady world to circulate in, but then it probably pays to be something of a politician when you head to one of those megastar parties and one of your family members makes the ultimate faux pas.
Bruce sat down next to my dad, and my dad looked at him, he says, "Now who is this Springsteen person?" He had no idea who he was. I went, "Dad, this is Bruce Springsteen."
As far as having the good fortune to get one of these, you pretty much have to know somebody or be somebody, or at the very least, plunk down a boatload of cash for a limited access VIP pass that some performers sell now. But Dave Otto both knows somebody and is somebody in this high-profile world.
Just like in the business, you treat everybody like you want to be treated. It's a pass made by Otto.